Hello and welcome to another episode of my digital artist vlog. Today we're going to talk about how I get my hair so perfect for these videos. What I do is I take a shower and then I go like this. I'm just kidding. We're not going to talk about my hair. We're going to answer a question that somebody posted on one of my videos. Aaron, how do you recommend a part-time digital artist price their work with clients and such? So if you're just starting out and you want to know what to charge and how to charge people, what you want to do is go on a Google search and look for average rates for illustrators or average rates for graphic designers, digital artists, etc. Whatever you're going to provide as your service, try to get a good idea of what people are charging. It's probably going to give you a crazy spectrum like $25 an hour to $300 an hour. And I know that's not really going to help, and I'm not going to be very helpful because I can't tell you exactly what to charge, but I can give you some advice to help you determine that for yourself. So first of all, do you want to charge an hourly rate or do you want to charge flat rate? And that varies for me personally depending on what kind of job I'm doing. Sometimes it's easier just to do a flat rate for something, and sometimes it's easier to do an hourly rate. Typically, if someone's going to have you do a lot of back and forth revisions and change things a lot, you're going to want to charge an hourly rate because that way you'll get paid for your time and people won't take advantage of you and have you do like 50 revisions of something and never finish it. Next, you want to think about, do you have any overhead? Like, do you have to pay for your art studio? Do you have to pay for your supplies like your tablet and your software and all these different things? Do you have, travel expenses to go meet the client? All of these things. What's it going to cost you to run your business? You want to factor that in too, and you want to make sure that you're getting paid for your time and you're also able to pay for all of the resources you need to be an artist. So if you're starting out, what you want to do is you want to start a little bit low with your pricing and then work your way up as you become more in demand. You don't want to start out charging $100 an hour because if you don't have a list of clients and work that you've done, people are just going to think you're crazy. So start out low, but don't start out too low. You definitely want to value yourself and your time. So don't do work for like $5 an hour or something crazy like that. You can charge quite a bit for creative work. It really depends on who you're marketing yourself to and how well you market yourself, and of course how good you are at painting or drawing or designing. Now, one of the best tips I have is to consider whether or not you want to list your rate. Let's say you have an hourly rate, and let's say your hourly rate is $60 an hour. Are you going to put on your website, I charge $60 an hour for logo design or for a portrait painting or so on? Or are you just going to list each of those things that you do and then say, email me or call me or fill out this contact form and I'll give you a custom estimate? And I think you should do the latter. You should not list your rates on your website because it gives you a little more flexibility. Let's say there's a project where it's something that's a really good cause, like, it's for a not-for-profit organization, charity, something like that, and you really want to help somebody out. Rather than charge them, $60 an hour or $100 an hour or whatever you charge, you might only charge them $25 and cut them a break. You might get a gig for some really, really, really rich corporation or something who's accustomed to paying way more than you'd think that they would pay for things. And if you don't charge them enough, then you're pretty much missing out on a bunch of free money. So you definitely want to be able to have flexibility there and not always charge the same thing for every service and for every client. Have some flexibility. And really the only way to get that flexibility is just to have people contact you and give them an estimate. Now, what I like to do is rather than beat around the bush with all this estimate stuff, I'll usually just ask people, what's your budget? What do you expect to pay for this service? And if it's something like, under $100 or something for something that I know is going to take me a lot of time to do, I'm just not even going to waste my time writing them back. It's better to weed out the cheapskates because people who are going to nickel and dime with you on stuff aren't going to respect your time, and they're probably not even going to pay you for the work. So don't do work for people like that. Now, when do you raise your rates? Well, you could do it a couple times a year. You could do it once a year. It's really up to you. I've kind of done it based on demand, where I find that if I have to work all the time doing all these little jobs, it makes more sense to me to charge people more and do fewer jobs and have more time. And it just makes it easier to focus on things because when you're starting out, you might have 10 different, 20 different projects in a month, and you have to think about those all the time Even when you're not at work, when you're sleeping, you'll be thinking about all these projects, and if you have way too many on your mind, it gets a little overwhelming and it makes it hard to really finish any of those 10 projects. So if you find you're really, really busy and your clients are like, hey, I'll pay you more if you'll give me more priority, go ahead and do that. Raise your rates. And a lot of the times your clients are going to tell you that. If I want to provide a quality service, I have to be getting paid well for what I do. I can't be stressing myself out by juggling 10 or 20 different projects all at once. I need to be able to focus on maybe just a couple and put in all of my focus into those few projects and get paid really well to do that. That's what those clients want. And one of the most important tips, always, 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 always get a deposit. Don't do any work without getting a deposit first, because if you don't get a deposit, you're maybe not going to get paid for the project. And it happens. It's happened to me a bunch of times. I've started work for somebody, started a logo design or something, and they go, yeah, no, I don't think I really like that. Show me a couple more things. I show them a couple more things, and they go, actually, I'm just going to have someone else do it. And it's like they take advantage of your time in ways like that, where some people don't necessarily see your time as being valuable in that regard. They think, well, I'm only going to pay for the end result. I'm not going to pay for somebody to show me something that I don't want. A lot of the times you have to show people what they don't want to help them decide what they do want. That's a service, and you should get paid for that. So how much to charge for a deposit? You might want to be reasonable and only charge a couple $100 or something, or you might want to charge half of the estimate, which I do typically, because then I know that, if I get through the project and they don't want to pay me for whatever reason, at least I got some money out of it, and, it's a hard lesson to learn to not get paid, but at least if you get paid half of what you thought you were going to get paid versus zero, that's even better. And while we're on the topic of getting paid, don't do spec work. That's speculative work. That's where somebody says, hey, can you shoot me a couple ideas for this logo? I'm not going to pay you yet or give you a deposit. I want to feel out whether or not I like your designs. Don't do that, because people will take advantage of that too and have you do a whole bunch of work for them and then not even hire you. There's these websites where they have design contests, these stupid things where somebody will post a request for a logo design, and then like 100 people from all around the world will each submit a design for that logo, and out of those 100 people, only one of them will get picked. Everyone else who spent an hour or 2 hours or 3 hours or 10 hours, however long they spent on that proposal, they don't get anything. And the person who does get paid doesn't really get paid that much anyways. It's like $99 for a logo or something, So don't do that. Get paid for what you do. Get paid well. If you're starting out, don't undervalue yourself, but don't overvalue yourself, and you'll be fine. So that brings us to the end of this vlog. I hope you'll click the subscribe button right there. Click, click, and then you'll be able to see updates when I release new videos. So I'll see you next time for another episode of my digital artist vlog.